claimed he had been abducted have now been arrested.
Guys, oh shit, there she goes. There she goes. She's in the vehicle. They got her. She's arrested. Well, I mean, she...
Just IN. Horrifying new details are surfacing in the investigation surrounding baby Emmanuel Haro, and the revelations are sending shockwaves through the community. What began as a desperate search for a missing 7-month-old has now turned into something far darker. Authorities have confirmed that both of Emmanuel's parents, the very people who should have been his protectors, are now sitting behind bars. They are not simply being questioned, nor are they facing minor neglect charges. Instead, investigators have officially charged them with murder, a charge that paints a devastating picture of what they believe truly happened to this innocent child. For weeks, neighbors, relatives, and volunteers clung to the hope that Emmanuel might still be alive somewhere, that perhaps he had been taken but could be found and brought home safely. That hope has now been shattered. Law enforcement made it clear in their latest update. Emmanuel is no longer considered missing. He is now presumed dead. Those words alone have left the public reeling. To presume death without a body means investigators have uncovered evidence so disturbing, so convincing, that they believe the worst-case scenario has already happened. This is not just a routine development. It represents a turning point in the case. Detectives are now treating Emmanuel's disappearance not as an accident, not as a kidnapping, but as a deliberate act that ended a young life before it even had a chance to begin. The courtroom proceedings ahead will attempt to uncover the truth. But for the community, the heartbreak is immediate and overwhelming. The image of a tiny baby's life cut short, allegedly at the hands of those who brought him into the world, is a reality too heavy for many to even comprehend. Yet, this is where the case stands now, and the pursuit of justice for Emmanuel has only just begun. Authorities have now confirmed what many began to suspect early on. The mother's dramatic tale of being ambushed in a parking lot and having her baby ripped from her arms was nothing more than a fabricated story. At first, the account sounded terrifying. A sudden attack, a frantic mother, and a helpless infant snatched away by strangers. But detectives quickly began to spot cracks in her version of events. Surveillance footage from the alleged location showed no struggle, no attackers, and no evidence that such a kidnapping had ever taken place. Witness interviews also failed to back up her claims. Within days, investigators were confident enough to say it outright. The kidnapping never happened. This revelation has shifted the focus of the case in a chilling direction. Instead of a frantic search for an abducted child, detectives are now working a homicide investigation. Prosecutors allege that Emmanuel's disappearance was staged to cover up a much darker truth. According to their findings, Emmanuel may not have been alive at the time the parents claimed he was taken. Authorities now believe he died days before his disappearance was ever reported, meaning the elaborate kidnapping story was nothing more than an attempt to buy time and mislead investigators. The implications of this are heartbreaking. While the community was out searching, hanging up flyers, and praying for Emmanuel's safe return, detectives now say there was no child to rescue. The energy and hope poured into finding him were tragically wasted, while behind the scenes, his parents allegedly worked to conceal the truth. This revelation has left neighbors and extended family stunned, struggling to understand how anyone could invent such a cruel deception, especially at the expense of their own baby. For prosecutors, however, the motive is less about shock and more about accountability. They argue the lies were calculated, deliberate, and designed to obstruct justice. And with this new timeline, the case against Emmanuel's parents grows darker and more damning by the day. On August 14th, the case took a dramatic turn when Rebecca Haro dialed 911 with a frantic plea for help. Through panic breaths, she claimed she had just been attacked in a parking lot, and in the chaos, her 7-month-old baby Emmanuel had been snatched from the car. For any parent, the thought of such a crime is every nightmare come true, and law enforcement treated the call with the urgency it deserved. Deputies mobilized within minutes, launching what quickly became a massive search operation. Specialized scent dogs were deployed, scouring the area for even the faintest trace of Emmanuel. Officers knocked on doors, canvassed neighborhoods, and pleaded with the public for tips. Surveillance cameras from nearby businesses and traffic intersections were pulled and analyzed frame by frame. To the community, it seemed like an all-out manhunt was underway to rescue a child in imminent danger. But as the hours turned into days, cracks began to appear in Rebecca's story. Detectives noticed troubling inconsistencies in her timeline. shifting details that didn't match the evidence they were uncovering. Surveillance footage revealed gaps, and physical evidence contradicted her claims of a violent abduction. Slowly but surely, investigators began to piece together a different reality. The so-called kidnapping may never have happened. That suspicion deepened when the focus of the search shifted. Days later, deputies were no longer combing parking lots or busy streets. Instead, their efforts moved quietly to remote fields in Moreno Valley. This time, cadaver dogs were brought in, a grim signal that investigators no longer believed they were searching for a living child, but for Emmanuel's remains. Although no body has yet been recovered, authorities now say they have strong indications of where Emmanuel's tiny body may be hidden. Each new discovery paints a picture more horrifying than the last. Not only is the baby presumed dead, but his parents are accused of going to extraordinary lengths to conceal the truth, leaving behind only a trail of deception and grief. Here's where the case plunges into even darker territory, and where the failures of the system become impossible to ignore. Court documents have revealed that Jake Haro, Emmanuel's father, was not a stranger to violence. In fact, his history of abuse was already on record. Just last year, he stood before a judge and admitted guilt in a horrifying case of child cruelty. The victim was his own daughter from a previous marriage, a little girl who endured long-term abuse at his hands. She survived, but the toll was devastating. Today, she is bedridden with cerebral palsy, her life permanently altered by the damage inflicted on her. Despite the seriousness of those crimes, Jake never served the kind of sentence many would expect for such brutality. Instead of being sent to prison, he was given probation and a period of work release, a decision that prosecutors now describe as nothing short of catastrophic. They argue that the justice system had an opportunity to prevent further harm, but instead allowed a violent abuser to remain free. And now, the consequences are measured in the most heartbreaking way possible. Prosecutors are blunt. Had Jake Haro been properly sentenced for the cruelty he inflicted on his daughter, he would have been behind bars in 2024. Emmanuel would never have been in his care. And Emmanuel, they say, would still be alive today. It's a devastating what-if that has shaken both the courtroom and the community. Parents, advocates, and neighbors are asking the same haunting question: how could a man with such a history be trusted with another vulnerable child? For many, this case isn't just about Emmanuel anymore. It's about a system that failed to protect him, despite every red flag waving in plain sight. And as prosecutors push forward, they are making it clear the responsibility doesn't rest solely on Jake and Rebecca Haro, but also on the decisions that allowed this tragedy to happen in the first place. Both parents, Jake and Rebecca Haro, were taken into custody at their cabin residence in a scene that has left the community stunned. Law enforcement moved decisively, arresting the couple on charges of murder, along with additional accusations of filing a false police report, a charge stemming from the fabricated story of Emmanuel's alleged abduction. The news of their arrest has sent shockwaves through neighbors, friends, and family members, many of whom are struggling to reconcile the couple they thought they knew with the horrifying allegations now facing them in court. Prosecutors have set bail at $1 million each, a figure that underscores the severity of the crimes and the risk of flight or interference in the ongoing investigation. The sum has fueled further outrage in the community, where residents are demanding accountability and questioning how such a tragedy could have unfolded right under their noses. Conversations at local schools, churches, and community centers have turned to disbelief and sorrow as parents and neighbors grapple with the idea that a baby's life was allegedly cut short in the very home where he should have been safest. Meanwhile, the narrative from inside the jail is starkly different. Jake Haro, speaking in a jailhouse interview, maintains his innocence. He denies ever abusing Emmanuel and insists that he and Rebecca are being wrongly accused. His statements, however, have done little to sway prosecutors or ease public concern. Investigators emphasize that the evidence against both parents is compelling and multifaceted. It includes inconsistencies in their statements, physical evidence that contradicts their stories, and the broader context of Jake's prior history of child abuse. For law enforcement and prosecutors, this case is about more than just proving a crime. It is about uncovering the truth behind a carefully constructed facade, ensuring justice for Emmanuel, and holding both parents fully accountable. And for the community, the unfolding drama serves as a chilling reminder of the fragility of trust, the consequences of violence, and the urgency of safeguarding children before it's too late. So now the question haunting everyone involved is clear. Can justice for baby Emmanuel truly be achieved without ever recovering his body? In most criminal cases, a body provides the undeniable proof needed to confirm a death and to secure convictions. Without it, prosecutors face a far more difficult challenge. They must rely on circumstantial evidence, inconsistencies in the parents' statements, digital footprints, forensic clues, and witness accounts to piece together what actually happened. Every small detail, a timestamp on a security camera, a neighbor's recollection, even the timing of a phone call, becomes critical in building a case strong enough to withstand scrutiny in court. Equally pressing is the question of what truly happened in the days before Emmanuel was reported missing. Investigators now believe that the infant may have already been in danger or possibly deceased before the 911 call that set the search in motion. Were there warning signs overlooked by family, friends, or even authorities? What was the environment like in the Haro household in those critical days? Every answer carries a heavy weight, as uncovering the timeline may not only reveal the circumstances of Emmanuel's death, but also shed light on why his parents allegedly attempted to cover it up with a fabricated kidnapping story. The search for Emmanuel's remains continues, with cadaver dogs, forensic teams, and law enforcement combing remote areas in hopes of finding definitive evidence. Each passing day adds urgency and intensity as investigators race to recover the child's body before crucial evidence is lost or degraded. The case continues to darken, with every revelation peeling back more layers of deception and tragedy. As authorities work tirelessly, the public watches in suspense, desperate for answers. Every new lead, every arrest, and every court filing brings us closer to understanding what happened and to holding those responsible accountable. Stay tuned, because this is a story that is far from over, and every development matters in the pursuit of justice for baby Emmanuel Haro.